Hey everybody, it's Ron over at Becoming Enlightened together for another daily read. Today is Tuesday the 3rd. Alright, we're just going to get right into it, okay? So basically the energy for the entire week is that of Yara in the upright. Now Yara in the upright is typically talking about harvest time, seasons, a time where all your earlier efforts are now made manifest, uh, rewards, and if you are having some type of a legal battle, it talks about how you will be successful in that as well. It talks about hope and expectations and moving out of some form of stagnation, and that you'll be both successful, prosperous, and that you basically have to be patient because everything happens in its own timing. You can't rush it. So, man, that's been something that's been emphasized, especially when I do my own readings quite a bit because I do get very impatient. When you think, well, it's been years and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, at what point does it become, where you're not impatient and you have every justification to say when, you know? But you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, truth be told, and all the things that have to be put in their proper places, and the fact that other people also have their own self-will. So there are things that need to be navigated about, so to speak, like a big chessboard. So just try to be patient and realize, and that's why it's one of those concepts again that's always echoed in almost every religious belief system that I'm familiar with to some degree or another. And we're going to see this echoed a few times in today's reading. So today's reading is about realizing that everything happens in cycles. First off, you have your ebbs and your flows. It happens in its own time, or God's timing, so to speak. And just to simply be patient and keep doing the things that you are basically supposed to be doing at this point. Now, the energy of the past, that which we drew on Sunday for today, Tuesday, is that of Othala in the upright. Now, this talks about ancestry and heritage and so on, but it's talking about home, house, dwelling, ancestral property, inheritances, inherited property, in other words, possessions. Talks about that which is truly important to a person or a group of people, group prosperity. Talks about fundamental values. Talks about aid in spiritual and physical journeys at this time. Safety. We're going to see another thing that's echoed in today's reading all throughout is that of one, defense, protection, and safety. But it also talks about equally that you be given success, and of course to be patient. So those are the 5 fundamental things that permeate the entire reading in every one of these runes for today. So it also talks about the land of your birth and spiritual heritages, group order, increase in abundance. We're seeing that also echoed throughout this reading. Now, our present energy, that which is right here in the present time, is that of Thor's mighty rune, Thurisas. And Thurisas, again, is about protection and defense primarily. It also talks about male fertility and vitality and eroticism, sexuality, that kind of stuff. So if you are a man and you're partaking, well, it goes without saying, I guess. Anyways, the obstacles and challenges are Awas. Now, Awas in the upright is also about defense, protection. It talks about rebirth, a quest of some type, possible conflicts, but it also talks about success and strength, reliability, dependability, endurance, and again, defense, protection, the driving force to acquire something, seeing your sights or setting your sights upon something that it's an achievable goal and doing it, basically. So that's what the obstacle and challenges are. It can only be an obstacle and a challenge if you see that and you are not doing that. Okay? So, or maybe you just don't want to get out of your comfort zone. Because I don't see anything specific here other than the fact that we're being told over and over again to, one, be patient. Two, to make sure that you are protecting yourself and your group, defending it, and that you're going to be successful and abundant until we get to the future. The future makes it a little bit more clear as to who and what maybe we are guarding ourselves against. Now, in terms of our help and advice, we have another very positive room. In fact, they're all in the upright except for the future, unfortunately. Now, Gibo, as I always state, is like X marks the spot on a treasure map, right? It talks about gifts, gifting, giving, if you will, as well as receiving. It talks about reciprocity, balance. It talks about divine unions and partnerships. It talks about generosity. It talks about all matters of exchange, including contracts. So maybe you're signing a contract soon, or maybe you recently signed a contract about something. I don't know, but it talks about personal relationships and partnerships as well. So these are things that are basically as far as your help and advice. These are the things that are coming to you. Now, in terms of our future, what we see is another powerful rune, but this one is in the reverse. This is Urus. This is the only one in reverse in today's reading. Now, Urus typically talks about strength and vitality, so you can imagine what it means in the reverse. Quite the opposite. Weak-willed, low energy, sickness, weakness, illness. Talks about obsessions, misdirected forces, domination by others, ignorance, inconsistency, brutality, and violence. So now we see why, protection and defense are so vitally important this week in this reading. We basically have those who are, whether it's just their own thought processes or whatever, their energy is powerful enough for me to pick up on it when I pull these runes. So in regards to that, that means they may not have actually physically done something yet, or they may have already started to put together some form of a plan, in opposition to you. Keep in mind, every one of us is getting closer and closer to that finish line, as I keep reminding you. It's just, if you want to look at it from a Christian perspective, for lack of a better way of putting it, imagine yourself, you are basically succeeding as, like Christ and so on, where he was tempted after his 40 days and 40 nights in the wilderness, and fasting and everything else. And the devil came upon him and they threw everything possible at him, when he was at his weakest state, to try to sway him off the given path, to the left or to the right. And of course, he didn't. And he is the example, that we can all use in this journey in regards to that. He's not the only one. I mean, the Buddha, Krishna, it doesn't matter. They've all had similar spiritual battles and experiences that we can emulate, depending on, what it is that you choose to believe or follow. The message is still the same. You're going to have these things that pop up when you're at your weakest point. So defend yourself, protect yourself and those around you, those you are basically put in, care of, or I should say they are your responsibility. You are their steward, so to speak, in regards to looking after them in some capacity. So with that being said, and everything else, and this pretty much encompasses what we're all going through at this point. Even though there's so much good that's coming our way, let's just say that the forces of darkness, or the jinn, or the archons, or the demons, or whatever it is you want to give them a name for, these energies exist. Whatever it is, that you wish to call them is irrelevant. And it's how you respond to these negativities, these obstacles that are going to be placed in front of you that may be very extreme at some point. You are being given the advanced warning in terms of protection and defense, and that you will be successful, regardless of what that looks like in your particular situation. Okay? I wish I was more articulate in this and being able to give you a better, all around encompassing feel for this, but that's pretty much it. It's giving us, like I said, the need to stay vigilant, to, again, defend yourself, protect yourself, but it's also telling you that you are indeed going to be abundant. You are indeed going to be successful. And regardless of, who or what comes up against you, you have everything that you need at your disposal to overcome these obstacles. Okay? And again, I could pull out Christian metaphor after Christian metaphor to do that, but then I don't want to seem imbalanced. I'm just not as able to pull, things like from the Bhagavad Gita or whatever the case may be, uh, and many writings of Buddhism and many other faiths and so on. Although I know them, I don't know them as well, and I can't pull them out verbatim at times. But when I talk about these things from a dogmatic sense, it's because I've seen the similarities in all these other belief systems. Those to me are truths, okay? Because they come from different regions of the world, different time periods, very, very, very ancient in many cases, far, exceeding what our typical histories tell us, I believe. So they came from a singular belief system that might have been worldwide at some point, in a time where that history no longer exists, at least for you and I. There may be some who have access to some of that information, of course, but they're not sharing it with us. So we have to piece it together with everything that we can get our hands on. And in the day of information that we live in today, it's becoming more and more relevant, but we still have to sift through a ton of information and then test it to see what is and is not true. Okay, and it's a laborious type of effort we're referring to here. All right, so I've rambled on as I do, and I hope you guys will, give me some grace on that. And as always, I wish you guys victory out there, and much, much further on down the line, hopefully, I'll see you all in Valhalla, and we will gather together for that one final great battle of good versus evil, which, again, is written in every religious text, talked about in many, many different forms. Some, of course, it's just a reoccurring cycle, a very long cycle. And others, it's just a one-time event, or that's the way it's told. And either way, the event is going to happen. So we're on the right side of that. So continue doing what you're doing, and God bless, and I'll see you again very, very soon. In fact, I might even do a tarot reader here in a minute.